Hey members, here's another video dealing with specifically vocabulary as it pertains to the ACT, SAT standardized tests. Now remember, vocabulary is extremely important in that the more vocabulary that the children know, the greater the breadth of their vocabulary, the easier the English portion of the test will be. Okay, and as in the last video, I've written a sentence, an example of a question that will be present on the vocabulary, the portion of the standardized test that tests the vocabulary. I've written that as well as the answers. Now, last time I wrote antonyms, in the last video I wrote antonyms and synonyms of each word, but on second thought, after looking at the video, I think I might have written them too small. So what I've done is I've changed it. I've written them out here so they would be bigger, so that the students will have the opportunity to actually see the word rather than try to decipher what I've written. Sometimes my writing can look like hieroglyphs or something like that. Okay, so without further ado, I'll get to it. And also a word before I go over this one. Don't be deceived by the length, never be deceived by the length of any particular question on the SAT test or ACT standardized test, because even though it's very short, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be easy. Okay, there are a number of nuances and in and outs of all of the questions, and usually the smaller the question, because the shorter it is, it's probably going to, if anything, mean it's going to be more difficult. Okay, because you have less to kind of extract from. In a previous video, we had a very meaty sentence, right? We had two clauses that were put together with the use of what was it, in light of, which kind of works as a preposition or the idiom despite or in spite of, right? We had things we can extract out of that sentence. The more words we have, the more we can extract and infer the meaning of the words that we're supposed to choose from. But when it's small like this, we have less opportunity to do that just because there's not as much material. So don't be fooled by the length of the sentence. So John Gieland, I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that correctly, crowned a distinguished career playing Shakespearean roles by giving a performance that was blah. Okay. Now, like I said, that's not a lot to go off of. Let's go ahead and read the answers here. First one we have is A, mediocre, B, outmoded, C, superficial, D, insipid, and E, unsurpassable. Okay, I'm stifling a sneeze as well. If you're wondering what's going on with my face, I'm trying to stifle a sneeze. Okay, anyway. So, like I said, we don't have much to kind of draw from, to kind of extract from this sentence. However, we do have one key word that's going to help us in our pursuit of choosing the right answer. And that word is crowned. Okay. Now, what does it mean to crown something? Well, we all know what a crown is. It's the thing that kings wear that looks something like this, right? Excuse my terrible drawing skills, right? We know what a crown is. Now, this is a crown, and this is a noun, right? But to crown someone is to put a crown on them, right? To acknowledge them as in a position of royalty or authority. That's what it means. That's what it means to crown someone, and that's used as a verb. To crown would be a verb, right? And it's everything that I just said, to acknowledge and recognize a person in a position of authority or royalty, right? Now, we don't have anybody crowning anyone in this sentence. However, we do have the subject of our sentence, which is John Gieland. Excuse me, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Okay. Now, he is the subject of our sentence. Okay. Now, we know the basic structure of an English sentence is subject, verb, object. So we already know that this is crowned, right? Because it would make sense to say subject, noun, a distinguished career. Now, we do have the distinguished career, which would be the object of the sentence, right? What is receiving the verb, okay? So we're saying he crowned a distinguished career. And in the same way that crown is going to be a keyword, distinguished is also going to be a keyword. If something is distinguished, then you know it's very extraordinary. Right? extraordinary. Excuse me, I almost forgot how to spell it. Okay, extraordinary. Something that's distinguished is extraordinary, right? It's not like anything else. It's. Do we have a word here? Well, we do have a word in our choices that's going to kind of indicate the meaning or define the word distinguished. But I'm not going to say anything because then I give away the answer. Maybe you can see it. All right. So he crowned a distinguished or extraordinary career playing Shakespearean roles by giving a performance that was blah blah blah. So if he crowned his distinguished career, the connotation here is that whatever role we're talking about, that's his last role. Because if you crown it, that means his career is over. Okay, that's the connotation there. Now let's take a look at our choices. First, we have mediocre. And remember, I've written the synonym or word that means the same thing in purple and the antonym or the word that means the opposite in turquoise. So a synonym of mediocre would be satisfactory. Back when I was going to school, we would get in classes that we didn't get graded on. We would get things like where it was pass fail. It's satisfactory, excellent, or needs. What was it? The very worst one was needs attention or something like that. Now, satisfactory was not something that was looked upon in my family as being good. If you're satisfactory, that's just like getting a C, and a C is kind of like average. And being average is unacceptable. At least it was in my family when I was growing up. So satisfactory and mediocre just means you're not bad, but you're not good. You're just floating somewhere in the middle. There's nothing unique about what you're doing. There's nothing that draws an eye to what you're doing. It's just normal, right? Okay. And an antonym of mediocre would be excellent, which is on the opposite end of the spectrum. If you're excellent, you're doing everything to draw positive attention to yourself and doing something that will draw the eye of others, so that they will think you are, they will acknowledge you as being above average or special, okay, or better in some way, shape, or form. Okay. B, we have outmoded. And outmoded just means the same thing as out of style. Something is out of style, you can just say, instead of saying, oh, that's out of style, practice your vocabulary and test your friends and say, oh, that's outmoded. See if they know what you're talking about, right? And so the opposite of that would be fashionable. If you're out of style, if you're not out of style, you're fashionable, you're in style. To be in style is to be fashionable. C is superficial, okay? Now, a synonym of superficial would be shallow. If you're superficial, you're shallow, you're only concerned with things at face value on the surface. You're not really thinking deeply about anything, okay? So the opposite of that, or an antonym of that, would be comprehensive. If something is comprehensive is concerned with details, right? It's not on the surface. It's concerned with details and all the ins and outs and intricacies of any given topic or thing, okay? The next one, D, insipid. This is a good word because this isn't something that's easily accessible to most students unless they're on a higher level. But insipid is probably a word that they don't encounter very often. Now, insipid just means to be, if something is insipid, it's dull, it's boring, okay? And so, quite naturally, the opposite or the antonym for that would be interesting, okay? And finally, we have the word unsurpassable, which I think is pretty easy to understand. If something is unsurpassable, you can't go beyond it. It's the very peak of whatever you're talking about. And so a synonym of that would be incomparable. If something is unsurpassable is incomparable. And it's just as, okay, I might get some flack for this, but for people who love LeBron James, but Michael Jordan was the greatest basketball player of all time. He is unsurpassable, okay? So that means if he's unsurpassable, he's the very peak of basketball athleticism and talent, he's incomparable. You can't compare him to anybody because there's nobody else on his level. Now, the opposite of that would be to be limited. Okay, somebody with limited ability is not unsurpassable. It's very easy to get better than them and surpass their ability. Okay. Now, going back to some of the keywords that we have, crowned and a distinguished career, let's see how any of these fit. Well, if he crowned a distinguished career means an extraordinary career. Okay, we don't have any reason to believe that the last performance he gave was mediocre. okay, unless otherwise stated by any other adjective, right, or conjunction that conveys any kind of sense of contrary belief or ideas, okay? So we don't have anything like that. So there's no reason to think that his last performance was mediocre, especially given words such as crowned and distinguished, okay? So we can already eliminate that, okay? What about, let's go to this one. So mediocre and dull, insipid, satisfactory and dull kind of go together. So if something is mediocre, it's I think it's not a stretch to say that it's probably dull and boring. That's why it's mediocre. It's not bad. It's not okay, but it's like, it's not exciting in any other way. It doesn't make me feel any other way. So I think we can already eliminate D as well. Okay. Now, out of style, the same thing. Now, we know because the word's crowned and distinguished, he put a crown on his distinguished career. That means that's his final performance. In order to put a crown on somebody, you're acknowledging something, you're acknowledging greatness. Okay, just as you would acknowledge a king as being great, or anybody in a position of authority that you can elect, you would only crown them if you knew that they were great and you believed in your heart that they were great. Now, it wouldn't make sense to use this verb and this adjective when you're talking about something, if you were talking about something that was outmoded or out of style, right? So we can eliminate that as well because it wouldn't make sense. Which leaves us with two choices. We have superficial and unsurpassable. Now that we've unpacked everything in the sentence, I think it's pretty obvious that the answer is C. Just kidding. It's not C. It's E. Okay. Hopefully, I got some of you guys out there when I said that, like, what? No, that doesn't seem right. Good. If you did say that, that's great. That means you're paying attention, right? So just as we wouldn't use these words to talk about an outmoded performance or a performance that's out of style, we wouldn't use those words to talk about one that's superficial or shallow. Okay, it wouldn't make sense to use positive words like that to describe something that was great, the final performance that was great. So we would need to use something such as this, unsurpassable. If he crowned his distinguished career, or he gave the last performance of his distinguished career, that means that last performance, in order to crown his whole career, he needed to do something that kept in line with all the other previous performances that were just as good, right? And this one might be even better by a little bit. So it would make sense that we choose E, unsurpassable. Okay, guys, that was the video. I hope you liked the video. As always, leave a comment in the bottom. Or if you would rather contact me about classes or tutoring or anything like that, please email me at jeteducate@gmail.com or send me a message through Facebook Messenger. Thanks, guys.